and you're not here now, nobody's going to blame you. unless many people waited up because they need an outlet for their rage, because there's a lot of it online, and we know where this conversation's inevitably going to go. It's going to go to the quarterbacks again. So we're going to take it there at some point or another, but let's just start with what we saw in the game. Okay, Patriots lose 24-3. It's a Patriots post-game show on CLNS Media with Evan Lazar here. Okay, before the game, we talked about chess matches, what Belichick would do, what McVay might counter, whether he's gonna, poop his pants, go, do something different. What he started the game with and what the Rams did, and just ramming it down the Patriots' throats like that, was something the Patriots clearly weren't ready for.
Listen, the opening script from Sean McVay tonight was a thing of beauty. I mean, you really have to give him credit. I think the biggest thing that they did tonight was they got vertical in the running game. We talked about it in the pregame show. Was Sean McVay going to be able to give Bill Belichick something other than outside zone? That's exactly what they did. That opening script was gap runs. There was a counter run in there. And what the Patriots did was basically the Super Bowl game plan of lining the line of scrimmage with 5 or 6 defenders. And there wasn't much there at the second level of the defense. We're talking about 1 or 2 guys in the box at the second level, thinking that they're going to try to run off tackle and get outside zone going. And the Rams were able to block it up inside and really hurt them with inside concepts. I know some of those runs hit off the edge, but they really start in the middle of the field. And then the running backs are bouncing them off to the edge to get outside. So that's how it started, was with the gap runs and the counter runs and different types of scheme. And then as the game wore on, Sean McVay just put on a clinic of how to add gaps in the running game and force the defensive backs to fill the run. So basically what happened was they would motion Robert Woods or Reynolds across the formation. That creates another gap for the defense to fill, and it forces the defensive backs to be those filling pieces. It's not on the edge defenders to fill when the wide receiver motions and blocks. That's on the DBs to fill in those spots, and the Patriots defensive backs get really owned at the point of attack by the Rams wide receivers. So beginning of the game, it was McVay's really dealing. I thought the Patriots kind of settled in defensively and almost kind of survived the script, is the coaching term that you kind of go for there. But then towards the end of the game, they were getting gashed by outside zone because their DBs couldn't hold up in the run game. So really a great script by Sean McVay, great game plan. He kind of got the better of Belichick tonight, and certainly it's not better than winning a Super Bowl, obviously, but it's a little bit of revenge there for McVay.
Well, announcers would have you believe that this was enough to make up for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Based on what they were talking about today. Again, let's move the conversation again to Newton. I mean, look, at the end of the day, first half, the pick six was brutal in a million different ways. We saw the play that Donald made there, with a little tug on Harris, which blew it all up. But I mean, it's still an awful throw by Newton there. I mean, he just serves it right up into the breadbasket. But between that and the 4 runs there at the goal line, in those last 2 plays where Newton held onto the ball, were just really poorly executed, poorly conceived plays. Minus those 2, the numbers are actually fairly similar with the 2 teams in the first half. But because you put yourself down like you did there, I mean, you're looking at third quarter, you get a little something going, and you can't really do it with the first drive of the half. And then the Rams go 16 plays, 9:42 for that touchdown drive, and the game's over. Then they pin their ears back, and they just came after Cam, and knew the Patriots were going to throw, and it's just not a situation. Can't play from behind, against a team like that, or really anybody if you're the Patriots. Right. So this thing snowballed quickly. How much you're going to put entirely on Cam's shoulders, I don't really know.
Yeah, I see. The biggest thing here is that sequence of Miles Bryant's pick 6 getting called back by the referees for him being down by contact, and then Cam throwing the pick 6 on the other direction. That was really like a 14-point sequence right there, and that was where the whole entire game pretty much flipped. I thought the Miles Bryant play was really close. I would have liked to have heard Mike Pereira's take on what exactly they skimmed right over it on the broadcast for whatever reason. I kind of thought that Brian didn't have possession of the ball until he rolled over and then got up.
Exactly. Right. They make contact when they go to the ground, but he doesn't secure it. And I don't know if there was a hand on him there. I felt the same way there.
Right. So I would have liked to hear Mike Pereira's take on that play. We never got it, but to me, that was really close. And if you give that pick six to the Patriots, it's 10-7. It's a completely different game. Instead, the offense has to go out there, and we know how the offense was looking. So that really was a huge swing for the Patriots to not get that pick six. And I thought on Cam's pick six, I've watched it back like 4 or 5 times already at this point, trying to figure out who I'm going to place blame on for it. And am I going to put anything on Cam and stuff like that? And I think the problem with that play is that Cam is just kind of blindly throwing it to a spot there, hoping that Damian Harris is going to get there. And Donald just makes a great play to grab Damian Harris and recognize the screen and kind of blew the whole thing up. So on one hand, you've seen it in the past, and I think this is sort of what we get into with Cam, is that we can constantly compare him to Brady, right? And in the past, Brady's really quick to recognize those types of things and throws the ball right in the dirt, right at the feet of Damian Harris, and just live
and it's over. Plays over, and it's
right.
There's nothing there.
Right. There's nothing there. Live to play another day. That's what you would like to see Cam do there. But at the same time, it is a bang, bang play where he's just kind of getting rid of the ball. There's pressure in his face, and he's just kind of hoping that Harris is going to get out. So it's a tough play to kind of place blame on anybody. It's really just a great play by Aaron Donald to go out there and grab Harris. But what I'm seeing with Cam when he plays poorly is a timing thing, right? And I posted the clip on Twitter, and I hate doing that because people just come after you regardless of what your opinion is, and they just blast you for being wrong or being right, regardless of what they feel. But if you watch the play, N'Keal Harry, his route is going up the field, and he's creating a little pocket of space for Jacoby Myers to just sit down right at the sticks. When Cam hits his back foot, ball needs to be out, right? That's how that play works. That's a timing play. That's where the ball needs to come out. That's what you see so many times.
He took off for a run, and there was a hold, right?
Right. No. That was later. The run play was earlier.
Okay.
And I know Matt Chatham actually, I think, was the one that pointed out that
there was another one there where he's open right at the marker, and then they ran. And again, it's just poor recognition by Cam. He didn't see it. There was another. Are you talking about the check down?
I'm talking about the sack in the third quarter.
Oh, okay, sorry. There was another check down to Sony again. I'm going through all of my notes on all of the plays where Cam was late to recognize something that he had. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. So basically, the sack in the third quarter, he slides up into the pocket, into pressure, and ends up going down for the sack. And Jacoby Myers is open at the sticks, and that should be ball out, back foot hits the ground, ball out. That's that type of timing play. It's 3rd and 4. You have to be able to make that throw. Earlier on in the game, there was another play where N'Keal Harry runs a little wheel route into the flat, and it clears out the flat for Damian Harris underneath. I think it was Harris. It might have been James White. Clearing out in the flat underneath, and that's a play that you need to get the ball to the running back quickly because N'Keal Harry is taking the coverage upfield, and you want the ball to get right into the running back's hands to take advantage of that space underneath the defense. But unfortunately, Cam holds the ball again, and by the time the ball gets out to the running back, there's 3 Rams defenders on top of the running back already because the scheme has been sniffed out already by the defense, right? They already understand what they're trying to do. So those are the types of plays that you continuously see because it's hard because some of the times he does throw some nice downfield throws. He had a couple of nice ones tonight.
Myers, they're beautiful throws.
Right. And that's sort of what you kind of fall for, right? That's sort of what you kind of get caught up in is, wait a second, I did the same thing in the Houston game. I broke down like 10 plays in that film review that week of Cam making some really nice downfield throws, but it's those little timing kind of deficiencies, those hiccups where a 3rd and 4 becomes a sack when it really should have been a conversion, or a 1st and 10 play that should have been a gain of 6 to 8 yards is a gain of 2 yards. And now you're behind the sticks. Those are the types of things that you need better from your quarterback. And it's not all on Cam. And I think this is sort of like the micro macro discussion that you can have with him. The macro discussion is they don't have enough at receiver, right? They have 2 guys that they send out there every single time with Jakob Johnson and the tight end that are zeros in the passing game. So they don't have enough as a receiver. But the second thing is that Cam as a timing throw is more of like a micro issue, is that each game you see him missing receivers, you see him not playing with great timing in the passing game, and that takes away a lot of points and a lot of yards off the field. So Macro issue, they don't have enough at receiver. It's not all on Cam. Micro issue, there's definitely mistakes that Cam is making out there.
Well, so again, this is what it's going to come down to. People are clamoring for it. Do you make the move or not? I mean, to Stidham earlier.
I think the question is with Stidham moving forward is, do you feel like he has a better grasp of the timing and sort of just the scheme, right? You have to figure out ways to have this offense be on time and be on schedule, because once they get behind the chains, they're in big trouble. When you get a sack or a negative play or that holding on the scramble that you pointed out, like those types of plays just completely torpedo this offense because they don't have the skill talent to go from a 2nd and 18 to a favorable 3rd down situation where they can actually convert. So if Stidham can keep the offense on schedule more and make those types of timing type throws a little bit better, then my guess is he can't, and that's why he's not playing, right? But if he can, it's hard to argue at this point that he couldn't offer you more than Cam, just in terms of operating within structure, within the scheme, because too much. And I've given Cam a lot of breaks. I really have. Kind of put it to the side for the last couple of games that he's only thrown for what was 69 yards last week and 80 something yards the week before, and said, who cares? They won 45-0. It doesn't matter. Right. But this week, this game, they needed Cam to be a lot sharper than he was in this game to have a chance to come back and pick up the defense after they got kind of gashed in the first quarter, and it just wasn't there.
No. And that's, again, it's, we're now looking at it again. It's not all stats, okay? Right. It's not all about the stats, because last game they didn't need him to throw for more than 69 yards. Right. Didn't need it. But when you need it, the conversation always comes back to that. When you need it, can you get it? And we don't know. You've seen it once, maybe twice all year, and that's basically it. And that's the problem, is when you're controlling it and you can roll with it and you can run the ball and do the thing that you do, great. Play the Cam style, let him run it too. It's all working. When you need to pass your way out of trouble, I think at this point, definitively, we know Cam Newton can't do it. And again, so much of this has to do with a lot of things here. There's nobody creating terrific separation. The weapons aren't there. It's not the type of offense where you need a prolific passer, because
it's also not the type of offense that, like, I don't think this is Cam. This is what Cam should be running, quite frankly. But their passing game, what they've tried to do is they've tried to merge Cam concepts with the old Brady offense and some of the passing offense, because that's the system, that's the scheme. So some of it is going to have to still be a little bit of that Brady timing, anticipation, throwing guys open, that type of stuff still needs to exist for them, because it's the same playbook. But they've tried to do a lot of things to kind of alter this playbook to Cam's strengths, and some of those downfield throws that we do see are, I think, throws that are more Cam-like. But the problem is 3rd and 4, you got to have it, and he just doesn't get the ball out on time and runs himself into a sack. And it's just time and time again, you see those types of plays with Cam on tape, and it's frustrating to watch because we've watched the other guy for so long, and Brady was so good at that type of stuff that it just was a completely, Brady hits that 3rd and 4 in his sleep. That's an easy completion for him, and that's just not Cam's game. So if he's not going to be the guy moving forward, that he's not grasping that aspect of the offense. I'm not saying he's played terrible all the time, but he's not grasping that timing, anticipation, structure throws. He's not grasping that part of the offense. So maybe either you need to throw that part of the offense out in the offseason and build with him moving forward with a completely different type of passing game, or you need to go to another quarterback.
And that's the thing, is now here we are again. We're back to where we were, that the season essentially is over. You think at 6-7 again. We've said it, unless they're mathematically eliminated, you can't see Bill Belichick pulling the plug here. I just don't understand at this point anymore. And again, we keep talking about the locker room and this and that. Maybe it takes one more loss. They're not really sure. And Stidham closes out the season with the last 2 games. It's possible. At the end of the day, I just think that the most important thing the Patriots can do, and I think what most fans feel, is you just have to see if you have anything with Stidham, giving him a game wire to wire and see what happens. Again, I'm not comparing him to other situations, but you just have – you see other teams trying it out. And until you do, you don't really know, with Jalen Hurts in Philly most recently. And again, that was in relief. You throw a guy out there, you see what they do, and that's the only way you're going to figure it out. You're entering next season with the biggest question mark at quarterback. At some point, you just have to say, give Stidham 3 games, see if he can play, and that will help me make a decision about what I'm going to do next year.
I think the hardest part about it is that if they have a script that they can play with Cam Newton, but it has to be the script that they played against the Chargers now. And they're not going to win every game 45-0. But that opening 13-play drive with 10 runs, you run it right down the defense's throat and you get up 7-0. That's how the game fits your script. That's how you can get into the type of team that you want to be. When you get into 10-0 against a team like the Rams and a defense like the Rams have, and you have to start to do other things that aren't just running the football and using Cam's legs as a threat, it's a really difficult hole to climb out of for this offense. So I don't want to completely blame it on Cam, because I thought early on McVay gave it back to Belichick a little bit there in that first quarter. He took him to school in the run game, especially schematically, all game long, really. I mean, it was not a good performance, I didn't think, from the Patriots coaching staff on defense, because I was saying it all week that, you had to expect that McVay was going to do something different.
Something different, right.
He wasn't going to run the same game plan. They ran a ton of 2 tight ends tonight, and they ran a ton of things up the field vertically in the running game, not just the outside zone stretch plays. There was a lot of plays up the field, pulling guards, pulling tackles, doing different types of things in the run game, and the Patriots were not ready for it in the first quarter, and it killed them, and that's how they got into that 10-0 hole. But it's tough, because this game is still a game where if Miles Bryant's pick 6 stands and Cam doesn't throw his pick 6, you take 2 plays off the board right there, and it's a much different game.
It is, and that's the thing is, it was almost impossible. Again, the confluence of events there, those 2 scenarios there, the 2 pick 6s back to back, one that wasn't, one that was, and then obviously that 4-play goal line situation with the Patriots where they come away with no points. That's it. That's everything. And then you lead into the third quarter, they score a touchdown, and it's good night. So it was not as lopsided as the score would indicate at the half, but it got away from them, and then they just simply couldn't work their way back.
Yeah, and that's this team, right? This is a front-running team. This is a team that has to play from ahead. They can't get into a 10-0 hole. And that's why I kind of put it a little bit on the defense more so than Cam, is because that's not how they want to play. And in a lot of ways, I was a little bit surprised. Did they win the opening toss? We just signed off on the
yeah. I missed that, honestly.
Yeah, me too. So I'll go back and check. But I was a little bit surprised that they didn't take the ball if they did win the toss, because that to me, I think it could be something that this team would need to do moving forward, is take the football, because they have to get out to a lead. They have to play the game on their terms. They can't be a team that has to throw their way back even to 7-0 is something that is tough for this team to do. So that first quarter buried them, and you have to give Sean McVay and the Rams coaching staff on offense a lot of credit for throwing out that Super Bowl game plan and having the birth of runs and the variety of runs in their package to be able to go to some things different, but just throw out that Super Bowl game plan and come at it from a completely different perspective was really impressive by Sean McVay. And I really kind of, am low on McVay, not as high as some other people are, but after tonight, I give him a ton of credit.
Again, and, however you feel about McVay, you have to discuss just what Jared Goff and who Jared Goff is. And it's very clear Jared Goff is an extremely limited quarterback. They didn't trust him to do anything once they got the lead there. Went almost into complete shutdown mode. Just didn't want to turn it over, didn't want to put it in his hands. Yeah. Everything was safe there. And so, I mean, outside of that touchdown drive, which was basically, I think, 16 plays, but 12 of them were runs. Right. Culminating in a pass, and again, a boneheaded jumping offside there on 4th down, where that again, you're looking at major plays that could absolutely swing the tide of the game. That was another. Who knows? Obviously, the Rams could still have, if they don't jump offside, just get a first down on that play. You don't know, but again, just disastrous, situations the Patriots kept putting themselves in. And whether it's Cam or whatever, I want to ask, if you start that second half with Stidham, do you think there's any difference?
I gotta think no, because I gotta trust the Patriots coaches that they know, that they know what Stidham looks like in practice, and they know what they're getting out of him. I just went back and checked. By the way, the Patriots did win the toss and deferred. I think that was a little bit of a mistake, and I think this team needs to set the tone early with their running game offensively, and needs to put together one of those 10, 13 play drives that takes 8 minutes off the clock and gets up 7-0 and is able to play from ahead. So I would second guess that decision to kick it off, definitely. But in terms of Stidham, I don't know. I don't know if he's the answer to fixing all these problems, because a lot of the issues that I see with Cam, I think Stidham also has: timing, accuracy in the underneath and short throws. We see a ton of.
You don't think he gets the ball out quicker though?
I think he may be a little bit quicker, but holding on to the football has been an issue for him in every game that we have seen him play, serious snaps in as well. So I'm not totally, I'm a little skeptical that he's going to get the ball out any quicker than Cam, but I think you can certainly make the argument that Stidham deserves a chance to see what he has, because again, I've given Cam a lot of breaks about his passing stats recently, because I really didn't think that they needed to go to that necessarily and needed to open up the passing game against Arizona or against the Chargers. But now you're in a situation, along with just seeing what you have with the future, where there is clear issues with Cam in the passing game that go beyond just the receivers and the struggles that they have with talent at the receiver position. When the scheme works and you need to make those throws within the system, they have to come out. The ball has to come out and the ball has to be there. Otherwise, you're not an offense that's going to create 10 to 15 downfield shots a game, where Cam's going to have opportunities to make big plays down the field, because you don't have the skill talent. So those 3rd and 4 plays where there's an open receiver and he doesn't pull the trigger, that's killer for this offense.
It is. And again, I don't know. It's such limited amount of time with Stidham. I actually thought today, 5 of 7, one of the incompletions there, actually, I thought showed good poise, hanging out in the pocket there, feeling the pressure, getting the ball off to Asiasi, who I thought was held a little bit. And he was really covered. I mean, whether the hold is the reason why he was covered, that was actually a pretty good throw in that situation there. And I think the sacks that he took, again, I don't know that he was holding the ball too long there. I think the whole pocket just collapsed on him, and he just couldn't even, there was nowhere to go and nowhere to throw.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. We're really not going to know unless we see a full game of it. And I just don't know. I mean, if you're predicting here, you just assume Bill throws Cam back out there next game?
It's tough, because at this point with 7 losses, it's a long shot that they're going to make the playoffs. And you kind of do feel like you got to at least see if Stidham can, because I was always so leaning towards Cam's running ability and talking about all the things that it opens up and how they can do all these different types of things with the running game because of Cam, and not just Cam running it on designed quarterback plays where he's the primary ball carrier, but the option plays and different ways they can take back the numbers by using him as a threat. But at the same time, that only goes so far. And I think that that's what we're seeing, is that when they do have to go to their passing game, it's so limited, and it just feels, you can feel it, like it just feels so difficult every single time he drops back to pass just to make something happen. And that's such an indictment on the receivers as well as on Cam. But again, I think the main thing is that still that passing game that Josh McDaniels is calling is too much of the Brady passing game, I think, at this point, and not enough of downfield throwing that Cam is good at. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't have the playmakers on the outside to continuously throw the ball down the field. But maybe tonight we saw Damiere Byrd had a few big plays in the first quarter or the first half. N'Keal Harry, we finally saw a jump ball down the field.
Oh, we're getting to it. Yep.
I'm sure we'll talk about it. Those are the types of plays that I think that this offense kind of just needs to be boom or bust in the passing game moving forward if they're going to stick with Cam. Just let them throw the ball down the field and just don't turn it over, and just hope that you can win some of those 50-50 balls with N'Keal, or that Byrd can get behind the defense a couple of times, or Myers can cross over the field like he did a few times. those are the types of plays that they need to hit, because these 3rd and 4 type of, dink and dunk type of throws, hit the guy at the sticks when he's coming out of his break. Those types of plays are just not working with Cam. And if they want to run that type of offense, then yeah, it's definitely Stidham time.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be, we have a long stretch here before we figure it out with that Thursday night situation. Right. So we're not going to see the team. We're not going to really know much about it. But again, if you're looking for an ideal time to do it, you have 10 days to give Stidham the reins and get him ready for the next game. And so this is about as good a chance as you're going to get here. I think literally every sign is pointing to it. The amount of losses, 3 straight games with Cam Newton just not being able to get the ball, get the passing offense going. It seems like the ideal time. We don't know what Bill's going to do ultimately. You mentioned N'Keal Harry, and I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
You and I had a little Twitter exchange on it where they threw the jump ball to him, which was great. He had the catch over the middle where he went up for it. I think people might have overreacted to what a quality catch that was. You're looking for something there. It was a high throw. He came down with it, took a good shot in the back, was a good 3rd down conversion that they needed there. And also made I thought the most impressive thing out of all of it was that nice move that he made to actually win a route where he got downfield and Cam just missed him, but he got held up a little bit. I actually think he doesn't.
Yeah, the nice double move.
He doesn't get held up. He might catch that thing in stride. That could have been 6, and we'd be losing our minds right now about N'Keal Harry. I actually think Rams got a little grabby and got away with a couple. We're not going to point.
Not why they lost.
It's not why they lost, but they got a little grabby at times, at key times where it would have made a huge difference if the call went that way. I thought the Harry was one of it, but look, my goodness, Evan, that's exactly what we've been talking about. He's always covered, so throw the ball to him while covered. It's the only way you're going to get him involved. I know Brady hates doing that, hated doing that.
He hated doing it, though, but the guy that I always look at when I talk about N'Keal, and I'm not comparing them as players because obviously Rob Gronkowski is going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. But 2018 Rob Gronkowski was not a separator. That was not a guy that was running away from people, and Brady would just kind of throw the ball in the perfect spot and let Gronk use his frame to just box guys out.
The whole way, right.
Even the catch in the Super Bowl is, 2 guys are kind of right in the area.
But he still knew, right, and that one was a terrific one, but he still knew in many cases only Gronk's getting this one. He does not throw the ball Cam threw to N'Keal. Brady would never throw that. I mean, in a desperation, it's as good as a punt on a 3rd and long. Maybe you'd see that, but that wasn't the play that they would draw up where he just heave it downfield and let his guy go make a play.
Right, and that's what we've been clamoring for N'Keal. I thought the play over the middle, I agree. We probably shouldn't completely overreact to that one. But I like the route, and I like where he ran the route from, right? Yeah. You get him inside the formation, and you let him just go and box somebody out, right? That's exactly what you want to see out of him. The jump ball was obviously really nice too, but that double move, he's got off coverage there, does a nice job of eating the cushion and kind of selling it a little bit and then going up the field. I mean, and he had a step. Yeah, that sequence was really, and not to defend N'Keal Harry completely for the rest of his play, but that sequence for that one quarter was probably the best sequence we've ever seen him play.
Better than the 7-catch game against Seattle, which was all just short stuff,
Yeah. So that was really impressive. I thought that those 2 plays was probably the best 2-3 play sequence that we have seen from him his entire career. So hopefully he can build on that. And I think that that's definitely exactly what we need to see more out of Cam too, is just kind of throwing the ball to spots down the field and trying to see if guys can make plays on it and trying to get away from this timing and precision passing and, hit the back foot and the ball is out and reading the defense and stuff like that. It's just not working when it needs to. And those are the types of plays, the Myers play I broke down earlier, or the one in the wheel route in the flat, or the one where he scrambles instead of checking the ball down. Those are Brady plays, right? Those are Brady playbook plays. Those plays are in the install because those plays have been in there for 20 years, and he's just not that kind of quarterback. It's hard to watch because you're seeing a guy that's really talented in a lot of ways, but it's just not a great system fit for him, and it's not enough of it is been kind of altered towards him. I don't think in the passing game specifically. The running game is great. They've done a ton of stuff with him in the running game that's great, but the passing game, I don't think it's really gone far enough to make it comfortable for Cam. I still feel like they sometimes get caught trying to make Cam into Tom Brady. And not to say it's on that level, but just that style of quarterback. And I just don't think that that's ever who he's going to be.
No, but again, flash from N'Keal. We're trying to do some silver linings things
Yeah.
here. N'Keal.
The defense righted the ship.
Huh?
The defense righted the ship.
The defense after those first couple of drives actually played well.
Yeah.
Minus the third quarter drive, which again the Rams just kind of rammed it down their throat. It was a dare you to run sort of situation. I thought they started again with that light sort of box. The safeties in there. Maybe they need to go a little heavier. But again, we're not going to kill. We saw what happened there. Looking for a couple rays of light again. Gunner with the punt returns, I thought was obviously.
He's confident, man. He knows that he can return it now. I think that was the biggest thing, is that Arizona return, even though it got called back from the Jennings penalty, the confidence that Gunner's playing with now as a returner because of that one. He has that one, and he has the two last week, and then he has a couple of nice ones again today. Today, you can tell that his confidence is sky high.
He's turning into a weapon there. He also, like I said, he finds seams, but then at the end, he literally looks like he steers directly into the most violent collision you could possibly find on the field on almost every single punt return. I'm horrified watching it sometimes. It's like a dozen car crashes. But in addition to that, Jake Bailey's better than Johnny Hecker. There, we said it. Okay.
Jake Bailey's a weapon. I said it on Twitter. It might be sad. I don't think he's the best player on the Patriots roster. I don't think he is.
Sure he is.
He's the most consistent player by far.
Him and Gilmore at their position. At their position, they're the two best players.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that if Gilmore's probably the best player on the team and Bailey's number 2, it's really that, and probably Damon Harris is probably number 3. One other thing I want to talk about though about the offense, just with the offensive line, I think that we are seeing definitely the drop off from Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah, Luminor had a tough
really killed him, because it's not just the plays that you can single out of Luminor, like that one awful play where he's just blocking nobody and left Michael Brockers, right through the line of scrimmage. That one is like the one that stands out like a sore thumb. But in general, I just wonder how much of an effect the rest of the line is feeling. Joe Tooney is feeling, playing next to Luminor, having a guy that just isn't confident and isn't really sure of what they're running. And Isaiah Wynn was having a nice season. He wasn't having an all-pro season,
but he was good.
He was filling the position. And I think that has really hurt them a lot, that they don't have Wynn out there anymore.
Yeah, you can get away with it, with Illuminor, but it's not optimal. And look, I mean, we saw what happened when Wynn came back, Onwenu moved to tackle, and Illuminor had kind of lost the spot. So that kind of shows what the Patriots were thinking was going on there.
I wonder if they go to Heron, honestly.
Who started the game at tight end?
Yeah. I wonder if they go to Heron next. We have like you said with Stidham, they have this 10 days, right? And if they want to continue to, even if they don't want to go for it, putting Heron in there and seeing what the rookie has and seeing if they have something with him, because in spots he has looked decent in pass protection, especially, which was his strength in college as well, and they drafted him. So I think that there's a chance that they might actually turn the keys over to Heron there at left tackle.
And it would go hand in hand if you did go to Stidham and tried to implement a more pass-oriented offense, to have somebody in there at tackle whose strength is pass blocking. It would make some sense. Again, we don't know how it's going to go. I know that the Patriots took a really long time to get in the Zoom rooms for interviews. So this feels like this was team meeting, closed locker room sort of situation.
I mean, you were sitting out there for 2 weeks, basically, in hotel rooms all by yourselves, going to practice and going to the meeting rooms and watching film in your hotel room. That's what they were doing for the last week straight, right? And that's all you're doing. And you put it together an effort like that. It wasn't good enough in any phase besides special teams was fine. But the defense and the offense was not good enough by far.
No, this was tough. And again, it's amazing coming off such a complete game to fall on their faces so badly. We knew this was stiffer competition here. And again, there's just really not a lot to say. We know where the conversation's going to go. Looking here if there's any questions. I mean, again, there's a lot of eulogizing the Patriots here. And I get it. I mean, this is where we are with this team and with this situation. Any final thoughts here, Revan, before we put a bow on it?
Well, I hate to nerd out about Sean McVay, but honestly, the scheme tonight by Sean McVay in the running game was really, really impressive. I don't think that this was necessarily a lot of people on the broadcast talking about Cam Akers, and this wasn't a Cam Akers situation. This was blocking and scheme, and they had a great plan. They knew that they had to get heavier. They got into 12 personnel to get a little bit heavier, and they were able to, do in the beginning of the game, like I said, a lot of different types of runs than what they ran in the Super Bowl. It wasn't all outside zone all the time. There was gap runs, there was counter plays with pulling guards and tackles, and then later on in that drive in the third quarter, that's when they got into their outside zone stuff, and they were able to get the DBs in the fit and get the DBs involved in the running game, and the wide receivers of the Rams won that matchup. They just won that matchup. And so I give Sean McVay a ton of credit because he coached his butt off, and you could tell that this meant to, he wanted to get this one really badly. So I want to give him his due because it was a really good game plan. It was a really good opening script specifically. I thought the Patriots defense weathered the storm for the most part. And if it wasn't for Cam's pick six, then they probably would have been in this game a lot easier. But it definitely was a great run game plan by Sean McVay. But it definitely does point to the fact that they hate Jared Goff. I mean, I don't know if Jared Goff is going to be there much longer either. We talk about Cam. I don't know if Jared Goff is going to be there much longer because if it wasn't for the running game, that Rams offense has nothing tonight. That really scares you.
No, and again, it's very clear. It's very clear what they think of Goff just watching the way that he handled everything. But what's the money situation with him? I mean,
they gave him that big contract, but most of those contracts,
most of them are 2-year deals. Yeah,
you can usually get out of them by like year 3 in the deal. So hopefully for them, it's funny because I think McVay and also Kyle Shanahan and Belichick to a degree too, I think they believe that they can win with just about every quarterback just by scheming it up. And they think that their system is so good that they can just kind of win with anybody. But tonight, it really felt like, and this season, it's really felt like they have training wheels on Jared Goff. And most of his throws, even if they're
down couple seasons, really. But
yeah, even if they're down the field, we're talking about 15, 20 yards down the field. We're not like talking about like he's really pushing it down the field. So it's really this run game scheme by Sean McVay deserves an applause. It was a really great game plan.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it. It is late. It's a school night, so I know everybody's got to, yell about this, for a little bit longer, but then, get to sleep and then wake up and then yell some more. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's up here on the screen, Patriots Press Pass. You'll get notified when we go live. Evan's going to have a lot more on this game, clnsmedia.com, 10 things we learned, most of them probably pretty bad. And then we'll have a lot more stuff tomorrow. Again, take a minute, take a breath, dissect it. We'll have some more videos coming out tomorrow when Evan takes a closer look at everything. So stay tuned for that as well. And of course, the rest of the season will be here post-game shows live afterwards, listening to the chats and feeling your frustrations. This was a tough one. Again, the Patriots lose 24-3, game that really didn't really feel competitive at any point in time. And that could be the season. So thank you again for watching. We are going to wrap it up. Like I said, check out Evan's article. It's going to be coming out shortly. We'll